Hey guys, Matt here, Wreck Brewery. Happy Homebrew Wednesday. This is a late Tuesday night edition. I haven't done one of these in a while on Tuesday. I figured I had the time for it, so why not? What you see here, what I just poured is it's a Baltic Porter that was going to enter into the SJ Pour Challenge, but it just wasn't ready yet. I wasn't pleased with this a month ago, but it's definitely coming around. I'm calling this Yamato's Demise. Just thought that was an interesting, clever name to put on it. What's really neat is the clarity of this thing. I mean, it's been sitting in secondary for, I don't know, it's probably been a good 2 months now that it's been sitting in secondary, and it has a nice sort of amber color to it, and it's also got some neat red hues to it. It's a really interesting looking beer, and it's already crystal clear. So it's getting cold. It's only been sitting in the keg tonight. I just forced carbonated it and put it on there, so it's cool, but it's not really ready yet. So it's also not fully carved yet, and that's why the head really hasn't stuck around. You know, I poured this a few minutes ago, and it's already mostly dissipated. But again, that's because the carbonation isn't fully there yet, but it is getting there. And what you saw next to it is me trying to crop the yeast off of the secondary. So we'll see when that clears out how much yeast I got on there. Might try to do a starter with it and put it away, because if I end up liking this yeast, I'll have an extra yeast around to try on something else. This is actually from the it's a Yeast 1275 Thames Valley Ale. Got the idea from some other Baltic Porter recipes. That's a yeast that was used for that style. So I figured I'd try that out. And this is what we got. So, you know, the smell on it, the aroma on it is very malt forward. It's got definitely a nice sweetness to it. You can smell some dark fruits in there, some sort of like maybe some plums, some raisins, some stone fruit kind of characters to it. You also get a lot of like caramel and toffee notes on it too. It's definitely all about the malt. Not a whole lot of hop resistance in the aroma there at all, and that's kind of what I expected. It's a pretty big beer. It's got a lot of malt in it. Well, let's go ahead and try it. Cheers. Yeah, the taste pretty much follows it. It's got a nice moderate sweetness to it. It's not too much. You don't get a lot of the hops from this. It's definitely more malt favored in this one. So it'd be really interesting to see what this tastes like, given some time. I'll have to be trying this every week or so and see when it really comes to its prime. It's definitely gotten a lot better with age, for sure. When I first tried this and thought about submitting it to the competition, it was just too sweet and it just didn't seem right. It finished out at 1019 originally from a 1070 beer, and I thought maybe it was done because it kind of stalled. But when I moved it to secondary, it got down even further. So when I transferred it to the keg tonight, it was at 1010. So I don't know what that actually makes it. I think that's somewhere around an 8% beer, maybe a little higher. But I brewed this thing back in the first week of February, so it definitely has a little bit of age on it already. So it's about 2.5 months old. The grains I used on this one, it's 11 pounds of 2-row, 3 pounds of that Swain Munich Light that I still have, that I'm kind of trying to eat through and see what I think of that grain. I've been kind of substituting that grain anywhere that I would normally use, like a light Munich or a Munich 10. It seems to be okay, and I still have quite a bit of that left. I split a sack with somebody in that group buy. There's a pound of flaked oats in here, and there's also 12 ounces each of Crystal 80 and chocolate, just to give it some of that color. The hops I used on this one, bittering was Challenger, the 30-minute edition was Sabro, and the late edition was Green Bullet. And then there was a vanilla bean put into the secondary. It was mashed at 155, so that's probably helping with some of the sweetness, even though it's a 1010 beer. So that's kind of interesting. I was expecting it to be a little bit drier, seeing the 1010 number, but that higher mash definitely seemed to have helped it. Water profile on this one, I went middle of the road because I just wanted to see what everything kind of brought to the table without influencing it too much with the balance of the salts. So I did a 60 parts per million of the calcium, sulfate, and chloride. That's what I aimed for in brewing water. And the pH a little bit higher than standard, just because it's a darker beer. I went for 5.4. So it turned out really nice. I'll go ahead and cut away for some video with you right now, so you can see just briefly me transferring this. Nothing fancy this time. Didn't do a closed transfer. Just used my siphon. Went from the better bottle into the keg, force carbonated it, and there you go. That's what we ended up with here. And there we go. We're just transferring the Baltic Porter. Pull a sample there. And yeah, look at that. It's got a fair amount of carbonation in there already just from kind of sitting around for a couple of months. It's amazing. All right, we're just force carving this, and I'm going to get ready to rock the keg here in a minute. Just watching our local homebrew meeting. They're doing it over Zoom this month because of the whole virus thing. So good stuff. But yeah, we're gonna force carve this and then test it out. I'll probably pour a sample of this for the homebrew Wednesday, I think, and try it out. So just rocking the keg. I got it propped up so that nothing comes, close to the gas port. But I just give this a good rock for about a minute, minute and a half. I stuck the CO2 tank inside of a bucket because, I'm always afraid of, knocking this thing over. I've already bumped it a couple of times just hooking this up. So I stuck it in there. It's a really small, it's like a two-pound tank. So this makes it real easy. I'm just listening to the meeting there in the background. So hopefully that doesn't drown out me speaking here. But yeah, I'll do this for about a minute, minute and a half. And then we'll go ahead and pull a sample. So this is the final beer, of course, and yeah, it's getting there. So I think just a little bit more time and it'll be even better. Also earlier this evening, I took a sample of the New Zealand Pilsner that I brewed with main brew guy Gary last week. If you want to see that brew day footage, you can go ahead and look for that. That's I posted that a couple of days ago. Had a great time. Brewing with Gary was a lot of fun. I look forward to brewing again with him as well as other brew tubers if I can ever find more opportunities. Would love to do that. We had a great time just brewing together. We were right on point with time. We were well within a few minutes of each other in our steps. So the brew day was very consistent. Going through that, the results were very consistent. So it should be really interesting. Really, the only main difference with this recipe for us was the water. I mean, we pretty much used the same ingredients. I mean, hell, we even shared half the same ingredients. So it's physically, the same beer in that regard. He used his RO water and made some salt adjustments. I just used my plain water. So we'll see, the difference. It'll be an interesting sort of experiment to see how these two beers turn out and any differences that they might bring based on that small difference, really. So I took what I did was with it originally was I fermented it at 55 degrees. It really only needed to do that for about 2 to 3 days before it hit half 50% attenuation. I'm trying to go with the Brewlosophy fast lagering technique. I've done it a couple times before with good results. So you basically let it get down about halfway, which in my case, I let it get down to about 1030. And then I started raising the temperature up. I raised it to 68. It's been at 68 for the last day and a half or so. So I went ahead and took a sample. It's down to 1015 now. So I'm going to leave it there at 68 for a couple more days, let it finish out. Doesn't have any off flavors or aromas to it. It's already a nice beer. We'll go ahead and cut away for some video here. I got a quick little tasting video that I did earlier. So we're here just sampling the New Zealand Pilsner. This was the collaboration that Gary and I brewed. I already took a little sip of this. It's down to 1015. So I'm doing the fast lagering technique on this thing. So it's coming out real nice. It's real clean, real nice and refreshing. This will be a real nice beer. And so my plan now is from there to just let it kind of chill out and make sure it finishes, fully finishes fermenting. I'll give it a couple more days, make sure there's no airlock activity. It's already pretty close to terminal. So I figured it's probably going to get down to like 1010 or 1008. And then I'll go ahead and start cold crashing it. I'll then add in our dry hops. We plan on dry hopping with Motueka, and we're going to zest a lime and put that in there as well. I'm hoping with only using one lime this time and we used enough of Carapils and some other, the torrefied wheat as well should help with the head retention. I'm hoping that'll counteract the limes. every time I've used lime zest in a beer, I've not done anything less than 3 limes, so maybe that'll help too, just doing 1. But it's always seemed to have killed the head, so hopefully this time that won't actually happen. But anyway, after cold crashing it, then I'll go ahead and transfer it to the keg and lager it. The intention is to try to get it off the yeast before the 2nd. If I can, I'd like to reuse that yeast on our International Brew Day that we have planned on May 2nd. If not, I got other things planned, so it's not really a big deal. SJ Pour Challenge beer reviews are up. I published them over the weekend, so if anybody is interested, you can check them out. That's from round 1, my sort of take on what I thought of those beers. Very nice. I pretty much, my opinions on what I thought should move on is what moved on. So it's nice to know that the message is similar probably across the beer board on these beers. A lot of good beers in that round. It's going to be a real interesting challenge now as we get the All-Stars to join here in round 2. So I look forward to seeing this challenge progress through subsequent rounds. Round 2, I think your beers are due to your hub by the May the 1st. You should have already been contacted by your hub coordinators. It's SJ Pour and Elder P. So I look forward to seeing this thing move into round 2 and seeing what how everything fares out and how the All-Stars do. So I always love following this challenge. Whether I make it forward or not, it's just a really cool challenge to be a part of. It's really unique, and it's really a pleasure to be a part of it and to be part of this great brewtubing community. Surrounded by a lot of great guys. We have regular daily chats with everybody. Speaking of which, the Discord channel that we created, if you go out to the Brewtubers website under virtual meetings, there's a tab for the Discord channel. If you haven't joined it, I encourage you to do that. Now one of the admins will have to approve you to be able to see what's going on in there and to be able to take a part of it. But the intent is to try to consolidate all of our chat channels. I think we just have too many between having all the separate Facebook Messenger groups. We have the WhatsApp going on. We have a lot of other private chats. It'd be nice to be able to consolidate all of those little groups into this one app. I use it as a gamer for all my games, and you can separate each. We already started with separating the channels. We have one for the yeast experiment, which is granted now over, but at least we can have all the specific content for each subject in our own channel. We have one for the SJ Pour Challenge. We have one for recipes. We have a general chat. And there's also voice chats. You can kind of go off into a breakout and talk to a fellow brewtuber and just, whatever. There doesn't seem to be any limit on it. I've had many people in my server, but this one is dedicated to just brewtubers. So if you're interested in joining, go ahead and take a look. If you're not sure, you can send me a message. I'll be happy to get you on board. It's a great tool, and it's one it'll be able to keep us in constant contact with one another in one central location. That's the intent. So nobody's lost and there's not too much content out there and too many various avenues. It's all in one place, and it makes it a lot easier to keep track of. You can run it off your phone. You can run it off your computer or even off the Brewtubers website, because Gary was nice enough to embed it directly onto the website. So I look forward to seeing more people join that. But yeah, that's really all I have for you guys this week. I look forward to seeing you guys second. I'll be doing a live feed of some sort, whether it be through our Brewtubers Zoom or my own feed. We'll figure that out, but I'll see everybody there. I'm sure I'll put out another video between now and then, and I'm sure I'll talk to you guys between now and then. So, but hey, with that, have everybody a happy Homebrew Wednesday, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Take care. Cheers. Oh, and before I leave you guys, before I forget, I picked up one of these shirts. I see a lot of brewtubers buying these. It's a great design, and I definitely encourage others to try it. My only piece of feedback that I would give you guys is order one size bigger than you think. I'm glad I listened to the advice of main brew guy Gary. I ordered, this is the 2XL, and it's still a bit snug, like around the sides. Just the material that this is made out of, it's more of a stretchy kind of a t-shirt. So definitely plan accordingly for that. So if you normally order an XL t-shirt like I normally do for other t-shirts, go 2XL on this one. And you won't be sorry, because you don't want it to be too snug. I'll go ahead and stand up. You can kind of see that it's a little bit, I mean, I got plenty of room in here, but it's, if I would have went XL, it would have been skin tight. So anyway, take care, guys.